I thought San Francisco would just be a stop on the map. A beautiful city, some sightseeings, maybe a few memories. I didn't expect it to quietly wake something up inside me. Because after that long trip, honestly, I was exhausted, completely fried. So instead of slowing down, Anna and I ended up hiking. The second we stepped outside, something shifted. We wandered through the neighborhood. But then suddenly, there it was, the Golden Gate Bridge. Rising out of the mist like something unreal, like somebody had painted it into existence. One of those places you've seen 1,000 times in movies, and somehow your brain still can't fully process that you're actually standing there. We didn't walk the whole bridge, just halfway. Just enough for the freezing wind to slap the sleep out of my face and remind me, hey, you're alive. From there we drifted along Highway 101, stumbled across this abandoned military site, later a cemetery honoring soldiers from the Korean War. And something about San Francisco felt different from Los Angeles. LA felt like dreams. San Francisco felt reflective. Man, that got me. The Yoda fountain, the atmosphere. Suddenly it felt like my childhood quietly walked up behind me and tapped me on the shoulder. Star Wars, filmmaking, storytelling, all those dreams I carried for years suddenly felt alive again. And we just kept walking, mountains up, mountains down, chasing film locations like two kids accidentally trapped inside the world's biggest playground. Little Italy, tiny bookstore smelling like old paper and forgotten brilliance. Even a post-production house where Werner Herzog had worked. And I don't know, every corner somehow felt like the city whispering, keep going. By the time we finally got back on the bus, I thought the day was over. But if you know Bill, you know better than to expect normal. Because somehow this man always hides surprises. I walk inside and there they are. 2 tickets, San Francisco Giants VIP. My first real baseball game ever, and suddenly I felt weirdly nervous, like a teenager on a first date trying very hard to pretend he knows what's going on.
There were no major league teams at that time.
Because let's be honest, I had absolutely no idea how baseball worked.
I think this is the beer line.
And maybe this sounds strange, but baseball felt surprisingly emotional. Slower than soccer, more patient, more human somehow. Less chaos, more rhythm. Like the game unfolds slowly enough for life to happen around it. Then somehow snuck up into higher seats. And from there, wow, the whole stadium looked like a painting.
Get back in and we root for the Dodgers. Man, it's a shame. 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
The crowd joins in, and suddenly, somehow, I'm part of something deeply American without understanding half of what's happening. And weirdly, I like that feeling.
Where do we have to go?
Later we ended up at this bar Bill used to go. To get there we crossed downtown and, let's just say, definitely not Disneyland. And then suddenly we are inside this old bar where the bartender greets Bill like long-lost family, feeding us, pouring drinks, laughing, stories everywhere, old photographs, brass hanging from the ceiling, slightly chaotic, completely alive. The kind of place you somehow know you'll remember years later. The next morning, we headed out early. Bill had a chiropractor appointment in Cupertino. And honestly, the whole thing felt incredibly American. The adjustments, the explanations, everything somehow bigger than life.
So we start everything up in the neck. Like I said, most people's brains are up here, so we're gonna clear things out from here down. And what we do is a thing called an adjustment. An adjustment is an actual movement of the bone. And what it does is it opens up the channels for the nerve to communicate better with the rest of the body. Okay. Knees. Clip. All right, now, we haven't done anything to his low back yet, but we're going to go this leg lifted up as high as it goes now. Okay. So you see a difference there, right? Can I do the other thing? And so that's all from the neck interfering with the function even of the low back. So the low back, I can have his muscles move, and that's how we lift the legs. I can't have his kidneys jump up. But if those legs got better from adjusting up here, how is his heart, lung, liver, kidneys, reproductive organs, all those things? All right, now I'm going to have you lay on your sides. Lay this side down, this side up. Here we go.
Thanks. Glad to see you.
And then, finally, my moment. Apple headquarters. Look, I'm an Apple kid. Always have been. So stepping into the visitor center honestly felt a little ridiculous. Because part of me felt like I had accidentally entered a tech religion. The architecture, the AR campus models, the tiny details. Every nerdy part of my brain was fully activated. From there, we explored more of Silicon Valley. Steve Jobs' old house, the garage where Hewlett and Packard began, Bill's favorite sandwich place. It felt like walking through the blueprint of modern ambition. Like standing inside the stories that happened an entire generation of dreamers.
And mine.
And then we went back to San Francisco because Bill wanted to show me something else too. Not just the beautiful parts, the harder parts, the places tourists usually avoid. And weirdly, that moved me most. Because every city has shadows, and maybe places only become real once you stop looking away from them. We grabbed coffee, tried the legendary Irish coffee, rode the cable cars I'd seen in movies my whole life. Up those ridiculous hills like a kid finally stepping inside his own imagination. And then, somehow, Bill literally starts racing the cable car in his car like a completely maniac, which honestly felt very on brand. By the time we got home, the whole trip already felt unreal, like a fever dream held together by sunlight, exhaustion, and gratitude.
Cool. Thank you so much for everything.
I am so happy you came.
Yeah, it was lovely.
Yeah. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
In Berlin.
Yeah.
Love and prosper.
Live long and prosper. Have a nice ride.
Send good
Messages.
Bye. I will. Bye.
When goodbye feels heavier than expected. 20 miles of hiking in my legs, 1,000 thoughts in my head, almost no vegan food in sight. Honestly, Northern California was trying to starve me. Beauty and hunger. Apparently, America likes serving both at the same time. On the train back to LA, I listened to editing podcasts, randomly met another YouTuber, talked algorithms, live, content, and watched the miles disappear outside the window like scenes from a movie. It started feeling personal, reachable, familiar. Back at the hostel, my temporary home for the next few weeks felt strangely exciting, somehow ugly and beautiful at the same time. I collapsed onto the bed starving, made mac and cheese from Besties, and ended the night with something weirdly comforting. A picture of a cat trying very hard to look like a tiger. I kinda related. A little hungry, a little overwhelmed, still figuring things out, but somehow finally stepping into the person I might actually be becoming. And what I didn't know yet was that Los Angeles still had one more surprise waiting for me, because very soon I would meet someone unexpected, someone who would quietly change the way I looked at the city forever.
New episode, here we go.